So if you click on this button here, you'll get a link in the VMP example to the work solution. And so you may want to work through that, convince yourself that this rule that we've determined, value of the marginal product greater than or equal to the wage, maximizes profits. And so that's what we learned. We learned that labor demand is determined by the condition that the value of the marginal product is going to be equal to the wage. That's where we stop. I'll stop once that is true. Once the value of the marginal product becomes less than the wage, then I don't want to go any further. And so we decided that when the wage was equal to $60, we wanted to hire 3 workers. The quantity of labor demanded was equal to 3 workers. We went to the 4th, and the value of the marginal product was less than the wage. So now the question is, well, what happens if I have to pay my workers more? Hypothetically, what happens if the wage increased to $120 per day for each worker? If I go back up to my example, and instead of a wage of $60, let's make that $120. So the wage is $120. Now where do I stop? If I use my condition that I'm going to want the value of the marginal product greater than or equal to the wage, where do I stop now? Well, now if I hire that 3rd worker, the value of the marginal product, they add $100 to my revenue by making 10 extra car washes sold at $10 each. But I'm going to have to pay them $120, and so the value of the marginal product is less than the wage. So the last point where it's positive is at 2 workers. So when the wage is $120 per worker, the quantity of labor demanded is 2. So what happens if we increase the wage? The quantity of labor demanded is going to decrease. Wage goes up. The quantity of labor demanded is going to go down. So there's a negative relationship, as we would expect, between the wage a firm has to pay and the number of workers that they want to hire. So if we skip ahead here, and what we're basically doing is plotting out a labor demand curve for the firm. So what we've done in our example, so I'm going to draw a graph here with the quantity of labor on the horizontal axis and the wage that I pay them on the vertical axis. And what we started with is we decided when the wage was $60 per day, we wanted to hire 3 workers. The quantity of labor demanded was 3. Then, when the wage increased to $120 per day, we only wanted to hire 2 workers. And so if we kept doing this, we kept changing the wage rate and plotting out the firm's labor demand, we would get a pretty standard looking demand curve. It's downward sloping, and this is labor demand. The higher the wage, the lower the quantity of labor demanded. The lower the wage, the higher the quantity of labor demanded. And so now our goal will be to figure out how that labor demand curve shifts around in response to events such as a pandemic or something of that